guys, welcome back to the channel. Some of you are going to get sick of me, aren't you? This will be like the third video I've posted within a week. Proper mad, innit? But there's been quite a few car meets, hasn't it? So videos, if I can get to a car meet and I can film it, I'll get the video up within a couple of days after editing it, you know what I mean? So anyway, Monday evening, and Mavericks, you know, Mavericks in Wales. It's just a little bit further than the old Sunday market. Great place, like, it's proper nice setup. Leslie and a few of the lads from the North Wales Ford group have organised a huge Ford meet there, and I think it's Ian Harwood, is it? He's going to do a bit of a speech. He's who Graham, you know, from GS Escort, bought out and started up. He's the, shall we say, the main founder of classic Fords on the Wirral, you know what I mean, in the Northwest. So I thought I'd get the RS2000 out because it's, you know, old and period and that, like. I'll scoot down there, see what it's all about. Bet you there's some nice things there, like. So I'm just gonna go fuel this up again because I used all the juice I put in it the other day, like. So gotta fuel this up again, and I'll scoot down and see what it's all about. See you there.
That's a fucking run, and then he got done for it, like, but didn't say he was in it. Some odd lady fucking crying in it.
Lovely that Mini, innit? Oh yeah, you were into Minis, weren't you, years ago? That's lovely that.
What you want is a stage 1 Monza kit.
What, Monza kit?
Monza kit.
What's a Monza kit?
I used to love these in the old day. It was called an ERA kit, and it was dead square and boxy and that, you know. But that was like...
Who?
It's got the Orc, it's been in a classic Ford, it's got the BDG in it.
Oh, yeah. Andy's coming down in his all alley one. I don't know.
Yeah, they make him VWs and all sorts.
You alright, fella?
How's it going?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, not bad. How'd you fucking operate the locker mechanism? Can't get the fuck on this water.
You do one thing and it's like, oh,
Yeah, it looks lovely, John. It's nice, this one, isn't it? Is it a real rally car?
Real one, mate, yeah.
Real rally car, yeah.
The stage is what come now, like.
Say, well, them wheels sit nice, don't they?
Stop it going in, isn't it?
Cheers, mates.
Stunning Escorts
Oh, it's,
from our youth.
yeah,
Well,
lovely.
certainly mine anyway.
Yeah,
You going now?
Okay, well, good evening, folks. I'll get this mic sorted out, that's better. Now, what can I tell you about Escorts? My goodness me, all these experts I've been talking to this evening, and it's lovely to see so many faces that I haven't seen for, well, up to 30, 40 years ago. So, just very briefly, Les has suggested I just mention what I did. Nothing spectacular, really, but my love of Escorts was from I had 10 years of motorsport, and that was Ford-minded, and I just fell into looking after Fords, and we dismantled them. Now, when I say dismantle them, it was a choice that we made. Truthfully, they're worth more money when you dismantle them, but I prefer to call it dissecting, because every nut and bolt was taken out, and every bit was kept clean, washed down, and I would try and road test every car before we dismantled it. Diffs, gearboxes, engines, and of course brakes and so on. So when we were sending these things all over the country, and of course we had quite a nice clientele in Australia, the States, most of Europe, so of course we had to make sure what we sold was not duff. And over the years, there's a few cars I look back on now. We started in 1973, and I remember the first car that I bought that I kept thinking, my God, I should really be keeping this. It was a Mark 1 big wing Escort, registration number X00252F. That was one of the first batches of Ford Escorts that Ford Competitions built, and worth, what would it worth now, 100 grand? So that was one mistake I made by not keeping it. One of the other cars I had was a Mark 1 Lotus Cortina, absolutely mint. It was an A-framed, alley panelled car, and that registration number was Y00500. So again, there was some Ford pedigree in that one as well. And again, I thought I should be keeping this, but when you're in business, you've got to keep the cash flow going. And just moving on a slightly later time, we had a very nice Mark 1 RS2000, the first one I ever had, white with the blue decals. And that registration number rang a bell when I saw it, and I noticed that it had been a left-hand drive shell because the wipers were the wrong way round. So I was a little suspicious at first, has this thing been reshelled? And then I sort of looked at the registration number, and again it had Ford pedigree, PVX, and it was 393L. There weren't many Mark 1 RS2000s that were L-regged. So I went back and I got the Ford book out, and in fact the car that Motor and Autocar road tested was one number before it, 392L. So that was another car that now would have a lot of pedigree with it. And then we moved into the Mark II Escorts. I'm not going to give all the bits and bobs we dismantled so much because that's old hat and you know all about that side. I just thought the different cars that we just quickly sort of handled might be of more interest to folks. And Mark II RS1800. Now I only had about 5 or 6 of those in total, but we had this one customer who, he was a gentleman farmer, Harrow educated, lived next door to the Earl of Mountbatten down in Hampshire. And he rang up and he said, will you come and have a look-see? I've got a couple of RS2000s, a couple of RS1800s, and I've got a Mark 1 Lotus Cortina. So, yeah, we chatted about price and this, that, and t'other. And it's rather sad because one of the RS1800s he'd got in his lovely, lovely workshop, and he'd got the head off and so on, and it had been pinched. Head, carbs, the whole lot there, and it just broke his spirit. He thought, well, once people know these things are here, I'm going to have this happening time and time again. So we bought all these 2 RS1800s and the twin cam Lotus Cortina. One of the RS1800s was very special really because it was a custom version, and they made very few of those. I noticed that it had the RS2000 custom door panels and the clock, and within a week I had the RS1800 registrar on the phone saying, I believe you've got an RS1800. I said, yes. He said, well, would you give me the registration number? I knew the chap vaguely, so I knew it wasn't a con job. So he was delighted that they hadn't got this car on their records. So that made 4 RS1800 customs in the country. Now I had this advertised in Motor News, and funny enough, about 6 months ago, a customer sent me a photograph of this advert where we had this RS1800 custom for sale, 28,000 miles, blah, 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 £3,500, and he said, I'd like to buy it please at that price. Well, very soon after advertising this particular car, we had a phone call from a guy, and apparently he had a pal in Australia, in New Zealand, who was very keen on 1800s. So we did a deal with him, and this RS1800 custom went over to New Zealand, which I felt a bit guilty about. But at the same time, the RS Owners Club had a day at Donington Park, the racing circuit, and I was asked if I'd take this 1800 over, which I did. I trailered it, of course. I wasn't going to tempt anything happening. And we met up with 4 or 5 other RS1800s, 2 more were the customs, and then mine, and then there's one other one somewhere that didn't arrive. And I thought, now, do I tell these guys what's happened to this car? Because they might lynch me with thinking it's going out of the country. So eventually, after a couple of hours chatting with them, I said, well, this is sold and it's going to New Zealand. And the 2 guys with the custom RS 1800s both stood up there. Well, you've just increased our cars by 30%. Now there's only going to be 2 or 3 at most in the country rather than 4. So I was a good chap on that day. I was a good chap. Would you like me to start winding up? again, we met a lot of nice people, and one of the customers, just very briefly, who I dealt with 2 or 3 times, was a young rally driver called Malcolm Wilson. And he'd ring up 2 days before the Tour of Cumbria. Yeah, and he said, I need a couple of half shafts at Mark 1 and perhaps a couple of SP44s. I said, yeah, no problem. He was just an ordinary customer then, no sort of record of what he achieved. And we got these things ready. And he said, well, look, he said, I can't get with you till about 8 o'clock. Can I meet you at the garage or can you take them home? I said, I'll take them home. So he arrives at 8 o'clock at night in an Anglia van, black overalls, black face, black hands, and out come his grubby £1 and £5 notes. And when we get to the 2 tyres, yes, I have those. I can only afford 1 half shaft, sorry. So, okay, Malcolm, no problem. And then the next year, he'd be on the phone again, and he said, I need a diff for the Tour of Cumbria. And of course, he then won the Tour of Cumbria, and that was really when I lost touch with him. Although, when I see him now, I just joke with him, Malcolm, I've got a couple of SP44s for you. So, he's a good lad. He's a good lad. I think I've probably said enough, really. I must just say, it's lovely seeing so many faces today. I mean, I don't get to see many of these occasions, but it's lovely, and there's some fantastic vehicles you've got. My goodness me. But they're all so electronic these days. When I was doing my Escort bits and bobs, it was nuts and bolts we played with. Nowadays, you've got to be an electronics engineer as well. So there we go, we went up in 2005, my daughters were saying, Dad, are you going to retire? Are you going to retire? So they and my wife, of course, who's here tonight, always keeps an eye on what's happening. As some of you know, we sold the name Ian Harwood Limited to Graham of GS Escorts, and Graham's here tonight as well. We've been chatting and comparing notes. So there we go, it's lovely to see you all. Thank you very much indeed, and thank you, Les, for inviting me over this evening. And I've really, really enjoyed seeing folks and cars. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
And there we have that. Like Ian said, he retired in sort of 2005. Graham took that business and it's just gone from strength to strength. Big setbacks, fires and COVID, and we're still all here in these cars that these guys source parts for still. And I think, you know, both icons in their time. And thanks to everyone who has an old Ford, really. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
So just got home now. What a good evening that was, hey? Some lovely cars. Really nice cars. A lot of old period stuff like Mark 1s, Mark 2 Escorts, old Cortinas, Ganadas. And a lot of new stuff. A few Escort Cosworths, Focus RSs and that. So no, nice evening. Nice to see everyone. Seen Graham from GS Escort, a few of the boys. Haven't seen for ages. Gordy from Wales, Scott from Wales. So no, it's good. And Andy Bosnell with his nice Mark 2 Escort. So no, it's nice to see all the boys and that. Catch up with people. Some lovely stuff. So and I hope you liked the speech Ian Harwood did. It's nice that, isn't it? I've recorded the whole speech, so that was nice, wasn't it? It's nice to hear. It was a fella I've never met. I've never met him before, like, but I remember seeing his garage years ago when we were kids. When I started in the old Fords and that, Graham from GS Escorts, that was all set up, and he's the one who I bought all my bits for. But I guess some of you older boys who watch my channel probably did buy some bits from Ian Harwood, like so. No, it's nice to hear the story and that, innit? So, alright guys, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up and please subscribe. And I tell you what, that Mavericks place is proper nice place to go. You know what I mean? They do a car night one evening a week. The page is on Facebook. Have a little look at the event. It's proper nice place. You get some nice food there. They've got alcohol, you know, if you're not driving, you can have a quick beer and that, like. And there's loads of places to park around there, so it's a nice setup, nice place to go to. So well worth a visit if you're local. It's close to the, you know, where the Sunday Welsh markets used to be. It's like a couple of miles further than that, you know, on the coast road. That's the way I go, like. But I know, definitely worthwhile checking out, worthwhile going. So, all right, see you soon. See you on the next one. Take it easy. Laters.